Welcome back to the Writer's Room for Run Radio. My name is Trina Wilcox, and today we welcome Angelique for our guest. Hello.
Hi.
We are excited to talk a little bit about all the different things that you're doing, and one of them is promoting your book that recently came out. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm, you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm from England, London. That's where I live now. And I'm an actress, I'm a writer, and I also do a lot of voiceover jobs. And most recently, I became an author. I wrote a book called Ready, Set, 30, A Tale of Figuring It All Out, whatever that means. And it's about my eclectic 20s, what I and most of us go through in our 20s. And it covers all aspects of life. It's got 7 chapters. It talks about body image, work, love, instincts, family, friends, and identity, which is like most of us in our 20s go through ups and downs and ebbs and flows of it all. And it also covers a lot of mostly funny, embarrassing stories that I've gone through. Yeah.
So when you were going through that the whole time, did you ever think that you would have a book in the back of your mind that would come out?
No. Absolutely not. Like
so
when I was,
switch flip.
Well, I was quite good at keeping notes in my phone because you might not know, as actors, when we're not acting, we do all sorts of weird, mostly awful side jobs. And I would keep a little list of the most ridiculous ones that I did in London. And it was the same with dating life in London. I would accumulate a lot of awful dates and then just write them down to tell my friends later and make them laugh. And so I found myself when I turned 20 with all these little lists. And when I turned 30, I wrote a letter to myself about all the lessons that I had learned over time. And I shared it to a few people, and the response was quite amazing. It was mostly people wanting to know more and wanting to know more about this specific story, and can I make it longer? And so it made me think, do I actually have it in me? Do I have a book in me to make people laugh? Because the whole point is to entertain.
How did you do that? I mean, I've had those points too where I think, okay, this might be something, and then I go to put it out. I'm like, this is short. This is a tweet. This is not a book or a chapter. So how did you learn how to fill in the rest of that story to make it more interesting?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. I think because it covers a lot, 7 chapters, very specific things, and apparently I have been through a lot. So it made a book. But I think when I talk about, the awful dates and the horrible jobs, I, in my head, see it as a scene, as a script. So I'm quite good at storytelling. Even if I am telling you the story in life, you can pretty much picture it. And I think that's how my writing comes across. It feels like you're having a coffee or a drink with a friend. It's very conversational writing. So I think that's how that's why it's so like it's not just little short stories, it's become an actual book. But I have accumulated a lot, and I think because I moved around a lot as a kid, and I observe a lot, so I think over time I just thought, this could be something. But never in my life was I thinking a book. I was thinking maybe a little script or a TV pilot of sorts. But it's definitely it's now out.
It's out there now. Now, when you put this together, is it actually all of your personal stories, or is it based on, and then it's another character?
No, it's me. It's definitely my point of view, my stories. I have taken a few of mine, with her permission, my mother's stories a little bit as well, because she's a very funny woman. She's been through funny events. And but it is all me, and it's not made up. It's all real, unfortunately.
Did it make you nervous to be so open? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I was terrified. I still am. Yeah.
When you went back through those stories, did you have some that you had forgotten about and you were like, oh my gosh, yes, that really happened?
Yes. I have one of my best friends back home in France, which is where I was brought up. She's like, she's got the best memory of anyone I ever know, and she knows more about my life. She reminds me of things I've done in high school, and that awful date I went on when I was 21. And so she was great for that. Like if I went to her and I said, listen, I need a bit more. Do you remember what I did this year? She would be,
oh my goodness.
exactly. Yeah, it's quite frightening. So she would definitely have she would recall some stories that I've been through. Yeah.
Do you have one you can share with us?
There is one I actually forgot, and she did remind me, which was I was dating quite a lot in London, going on a lot of first dates, which didn't pan out into second dates. And I had been on maybe 2-3 dates with this guy, and it didn't work out. And 6 months later, I was working as a hostess at this event, and I was doing the guest list. And this guy arrived with his, I think, girlfriend at the door, and I did not recognize him at all. I completely must have blanked him out of my memory. And he came up to me and he said, "Hi." And I was like, "Hello, what's your name?" And he was like, "Wait, you don't remember me?" And so it was this very awkward moment because his girlfriend was there, my colleagues were there, I was blank. And I was like, I'm sorry, no, do we know each other? And he was like, yeah, we dated 6 months ago. And he just full on, like, instead of ignoring and making the situation less awkward, he was like, no, let's dive in and let's make this situation way worse. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I think I finally, like, I was like, oh yes, this wine bar, that's right. And he was like, yeah, what's my name then? And I was like, it's George. And he was like, yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, great, thanks, George. And he was like, no, it's Mark.
Oh,
and he left.
Whoops.
I was mortified. That had never happened to me in my entire life. And I think that was the biggest sign of all, that maybe I had to call it on the first dates and sort of be alone for a while.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he wasn't that memorable, it's not your fault.
Clearly, yeah, that's what my colleagues were saying as well. They were like, well, clearly he didn't make an impression.
Right. So to go along with your acting, how do you see the parallels with writing and then acting? Because like you said, you read scripts, so you're familiar with kind of an author's perspective. So how does that work for you?
Well, I like to think that the reason I went into acting is because I really like storytelling. And even really young as a kid, I used to just tell stories and try and entertain and make people laugh. And that really was my goal throughout, and still is. And through writing, it's pretty much the same thing. You want to entertain, you want to tell a story, and again, want to make people laugh. And that was really my goal, without it, ever thinking, oh, I'm going to write a book one day. It was more, how can I entertain in a different way through, like, not through acting or my voice. Maybe I have, writing in me. And so that was really my goal in this. Yeah, I think it's a good parallel. Like, actors in general, we tend to have a lot of ideas, and a lot of it we don't really pursue. We just, stick to one thing, and acting is great for that. You can take your imagination and go different places, different characters. But like, a lot of the time I have stories that I always want to tell. I have little script ideas, I have scenes, and I write them down, but then they never pan out. And I think for this book, because it was about my life, and I, make fun of what's happened to me, and I hope it's as relatable as possible, I think that was the next step aside from acting, really.
When you were putting it together, what was your writing process like? Did you just jot stuff down as it came to you, or did you dedicate a certain amount of time daily? How was
that? Because of COVID, I'm someone who needs a routine, and the acting industry shut down. No actor was working. And I thought, well, I'll take this opportunity to, sit down and try and write. And I would maybe set an achievable goal, maybe like a couple of hours a day. Sometimes I had nothing, and sometimes I would write for hours. And I had a clear outline. I think when I really realized I was going to write this book, I had my letter that I had written to myself, which covered all the topics I cover, like body image, anxiety, identity. And I made those outlines, and I divided the chapters. The chapters are divided into 4 categories. And it was more like 4 topics about this big topic that I could talk about. So it was more I spent maybe a month really making this outline as clear as possible in my head. And then I would go to my notes and I would see, okay, what do you have for this? What do you have for this? For the work chapter, for the love chapter. And then pretend I was talking to a friend. And so I would just write as I speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got an editor.
Okay.
to sort of like iron everything out, because you can't really write completely as you speak. Yeah.
Uh-huh. What did you learn about yourself in the process?
I've never worked on anything for this long. It's been 2 years, and there were many moments of self-doubt. I was convinced this was a mistake at times. I was like, what was I thinking? This is terrible. This is going to be awful. Why am I doing this to myself? And I think it's pushing through those moments that really showed that I was quite determined and quite sure that I had something good. And at the end of it, I am actually very proud, even though I'm very nervous still, and it's very vulnerable and revealing. But from the feedback I've gotten already, people think it's very funny and very relatable, and really the goals have been reached. So I think I feel that if I've put an idea in my head, and I really want it, I can actually finish it, even though my self-doubt sometimes was really loud. I'm really happy I've pushed through there.
Good. How did you shut down the voices that told you, oh, this is a bad idea?
I would sit with those feelings for a day. I would accept them instead of trying to like brush them off and be positive. I'd just be like, okay, this is how you're feeling today. It's fine. Today will probably be different. And also I have very good people around me. I have a brilliant partner who was like, just come on, get it out there. I have friends, and they're very supportive and encouraging, and they were like, what are you stuck with? What is actually stopping you? And but mostly just sitting with my feelings. I think that's something in my 20s I never used to do. When I had a rejection with a casting, I used to try and brush it off, but actually it doesn't work, because all those feelings come rushing back at some point, and usually in a very inappropriate, dramatic way. So I tend to now just deal with my feelings head on, and just be kind to yourself. I think that's what I'm trying to do.
Do you think you have another book in you?
So many people have asked me that already.
Of course. Like when people get married, when's the kid? When's the second kid? When's the
yes,
like,
that's true.
The next book?
That's true. I might. Not right now. No, I've not written anything. I do have a script. I have a pretty good TV pilot that I've been working on for a few years that I had to put aside for the book. And I went back to it actually earlier this week. So maybe that's the next step.
What about a blog or anything? Have you thought about that? Just documenting out loud?
No, I haven't actually. So yeah, that's been mentioned to me as well. No, I haven't actually. Is that something you think I should do?
The Sex and the City kind of thing, yes. But just here and now. Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be a wonder. And then down the road in a few years, when you're ready to compile those, your book's already written for you. You just kind of spruce it up. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, you're right.
And then I'm going to write that down too. All right. Well, tell us again the title of the book and where people can go look for it.
So it's called Ready, Set, 30, A Tale of Figuring It All Out, whatever that means. And you can find it everywhere on Amazon. Fantastic. And my author name is Angelique Joan.
Very good. Thank you so much. Anything else that you want to share? Have I not asked you something that I should have?
No, I think, I've covered the book, and I really hope people like it. And from what I've actually heard, the feedback is it's not really for any it's not for any age. It can resonate with just any age, because people always look back and think of what they've learned. And it's always really nice to hear that other people are going through that at any age, really, because no one really has a clue. We're just all trying. We're just all trying.
We're just all trying.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope the book does wonderfully.
Thank you so much. Thank you.